Guys, hello. This is day number 7 of the 25 days of mental health. I'm just going to jump straight into this. It's going to be about OCD, Obsessive-Compulsive Disorder, and it's something that I think a lot of people actually suffer some form of it in some way or another. For me, it goes right back to the earliest memories of a childhood when my older brother would tip out Lego, just being kids, and I can remember my gran just saying, "Oh, it's all right, Mike will clean it up," because I had to, and I would put all the Lego in the right colours, in the right sizes, spread them out in a format that was symmetrical, and then I would pick them up and put them back in the box. For me, that was totally normal, but at the same time, I couldn't leave it. I was thinking, oh, I wish he could just tidy it up himself, but I had to go and do it. And there's loads of stuff like that. Now, OCD isn't just being tidy, it isn't just cleanliness. I mean, there is different types of OCD, and cleanliness is one of them, but it's to the extremities. Maybe touching something and washing your hands continuously and feeling the need to go and clean something all the time, and then clean it again and then clean it again. There is that form. For me, I suffer from the one that's symmetrical, numbers, counting, checking, and it's only been since I've grown up, or gradually gotten older, that I've been able to recognise it, and I challenge it, because it's something that does need challenged. And if you don't challenge it, it does take a hold of you. I remember waiting for the bus going from Bangor in Aberdeen, where I used to live, and I couldn't just give the bus driver a note. I couldn't just give him a £10 note or a £5 note or whatever it was. I had to have the exact change. I had to have the exact change, and I would have the exact change when I left the house. And then on the way from my house to the bus stop, I would check it maybe 6 or 7 times. And then waiting for the bus, it'd be another 7 or 8 times. And I remember sometimes I'd be with my friend, I'd be like, "What are you doing?" "I'm just checking my change." And he'd be like, "Oh, you've already checked it." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. This is what's there." I'm like, "I know it's there, but I'm just going to check it again." and it's something that that you're doing, but you just can't stop it. And again, it goes back to, I remember my mum and dad in their living room, we had this massive rectangular table, and we always had placemats on it. And because the placemats were square and it was in a rectangle, I have to have 6, because if I just had 4 placemats, for me that's square. But 6 was a little bit longer than a square, so it's a rectangle, and they had to be in precise 90-degree order. And I remember my dad was like, "Oh, you can't pick up your clothes, but you can do these bloody placemats." And I had no answer for him, because he was right. I knew he was right. I knew I was doing it, but I literally had no answers. Where I look back now and think, that's why I used to do that. So it makes a lot more sense. And I think some people just think OCD is just being clean, it's just being tidy, but it's so much more than that. It's so much bigger. Like the celebrities that have it, like David Beckham, Leonardo, DiCaprio, it'd be nice if they could maybe mention it a little bit more, or if they were able to do something that could potentially highlight that, because it is obviously a subject which does need raised a lot more. And I think people like that could normalise it, maybe give it a greater understanding and depth for people out there, but showcase it on a much grander scale than those who actually suffer with it can. I'm obviously doing the 25 days of mental health because there's loads of different subjects, but I think OCD is a massive one. And what's worrying, I'm not normally a fan of statistics, but 1% of OCD sufferers actually kill themselves. So 1% actually go through suicide. There's many more that have suicidal thoughts, but it's the 1% that follow it through. And that's worrying. So in 100 people that have OCD, one of them dies, kills themselves, which is quite a dark thing, isn't it? So how do we prevent that? Well, for me, I used to have to count in 4s, and this will sound silly, but I now try and do 3s and 5s and odd numbers whenever I can, if I feel it starts to reel me in. with symmetry, I try and do things a little bit zigzaggy, squiggly, and what I mean by that is, like, if I'm building something, I make sure it's not in straight lines, or if it's not clean cut, it's okay. Same with like my hair. I try not make my hair pristine like I used to. Sometimes I do, but I don't mind if it's all over the place. It doesn't really bother me because it doesn't matter. Clothes had to be pristine. Like, being well presentable is fine, but being perfect is so hard to maintain. So hard to maintain. So just, okay, that does look a bit silly. It's so hard to maintain. So we need to make sure that I need to make sure that if I feel that I'm getting sucked in again, challenge it. And it's all about knowing what your triggers are and finding a way around it, because there will always be a way. You just need to find it and know what those triggers are. So OCD, have a little think about what you do in your day-to-day activities. If there is something that you feel you really can't move from, good chances are that's going to be what is your OCD. You might not have it, not everybody does, but I think you obviously need to make sure that you're aware of what it is, raise the concerns fast, research your own triggers, because everybody's going to be different. What works for me might not work for you, but I would highly recommend just go on Google, look it up. It's really not hard. There's lots of answers there. I only have the answers for myself. But OCD, I think it's a lot more common than people really make it out. But there is a darker side to OCD, like I said, and it can lead to suicide, which should be preventable. It should be preventable. But yeah, OCD, still suffer from some of it. Like if I'm in my house and I'm in bed and the blinds are a little bit open, I cannot sleep until I sort them. But hey, these are challenges that I face and I have to try and get through every day. But I wanted to put OCD out today, and it'll be something I'll probably reflect on a lot, because I do know it affects a lot of people. But I just want people to know that you're obviously not the only one. And if there is somebody doing something that you're not too sure of, don't make it harder for them. Just accept that's what they need to do. Because if you try and change it and they retaliate with anger, they probably don't mean it. And if they're unable to explain in a way that you understand, don't try and question it too much. Just accept it and appreciate it more than anything, because people do really struggle with it. I am thankfully through that, that darker side, and kind of stepped out within the grasp. So for me, I'm in a good place that I can acknowledge it and share now. But for those that aren't in that good place, just appreciate it, guys. Don't be hard on them. And we will manage to get this subject raised a hell of a lot more. But yeah, have a look on Google, have a look at the celebrities that have it. You might be surprised. But that's all for me today. I will be putting another video up. I'm going to try and do it tonight when I get home from my shift, because I'm currently on a shift just now. I'm just waiting to finish my break. So yeah, that's it, guys. Remember, positive energy, good to go.